Okay, so are you ready to dive into something truly unique? Have you ever heard of FairyFrens?
I have, yeah.
Okay, cool. So for those who haven't heard of them, they're all about emotional intelligence
hmm
and creativity,
mm
and bringing that to like the digital world.
hmm
But their story, it starts in this place called Lumin.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
and it's this amazing world. It's full of
mm,
magic. But here's the thing.
right.
Lumin, it's not just some made-up fantasy land.
hmm
It actually exists on a planet called Leys.
Wow.
And it shares that space with another realm
Okay.
called Orderin. And Orderin is like the total opposite.
Okay.
It's all about logic and science.
So it's like two sides of the same coin, right?
Exactly.
You got the magic and wonder of Lumin,
Right, yeah.
and then you've got the cold, hard facts of Ordering.
Yeah, and it's like both existing on the same planet.
It makes you wonder, what would it be like if our world had that kind of balance?
Yeah, totally. Like, could we learn something from that?
Maybe we could. Maybe we need a little bit of both to really thrive.
That's a really cool thought.
It is, right.
So how are these two realms even, like, connected? Like, they sound like they'd be constantly at odds.
Well, picture this, okay.
Right.
Leys, the planet, it's the third planet in the solar system they call Fa3.
Okay.
And get this system, it's got 6 planets
Whoa.
and 3 suns.
3 suns, that's insane. Imagine those sunsets.
Can you imagine? It'd be mind-blowing. But anyway, the realms, right.
Yeah, how do they interact?
So they're connected by something called the OR grid.
The OR grid.
It's like this network of ley lines that act like the planet's circulatory system.
Okay.
Flows through both realms, see? Fueling Lumin's magic, but also it influences Orderin, too, even though they're all about, no magic.
So even though they try to deny it, they're still connected to this magical energy.
Yeah, exactly. They can't escape it no matter how hard they try to be all logical and stuff. It's like it's in the very fabric of their planet.
I love that. It's like this hidden force that binds them together, whether they like it or not.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this planet, Leys,
Right.
divided between Lumin, the magical realm, and Orderin, the realm of logic, all interconnected by this powerful OR grid. Let's zoom in on Lumin for a sec. What makes this place so special?
Oh, man. Lumin. Think vibrant forests.
Okay.
Glowing rivers of energy.
Oh, wow.
And right at the heart of it all, the great tree.
Ah, you mentioned this great tree
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
It chooses Lumin's rulers, but what is it exactly?
It's more than just a tree. Yeah. It's the source of all magic in Lumin. And here's the kicker. It's alive, like a beating heart for the whole planet. It can sense the emotions and energy of everything around it. It's amazing.
A living, breathing tree infused with magic. That's wild. So how does this great tree tie into the whole FairyFrens thing?
Legend has it, right, that the great tree was born from pure imagination.
Oh.
Like the spark of creativity and the vastness of space. As it grew, its roots spread throughout Lumin, and from those roots, the very first FairyFrens emerged.
Wow, so they're like the children of the great tree.
You could say that, yeah. Born from imagination itself.
And each fairy friend carries a piece of that magic, right?
Yeah, like a spark of creativity that lets them shapeshift and connect with the world in all these unique ways.
That's incredible. It really drives home that message of creativity and emotional intelligence, which is what fairy friends are all about, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so this great tree represents imagination, and the OR grid is like the slow of energy and connection.
Right, right.
What does that make me to? Orderin.
That's the question, isn't it?
It's got to be something, right? It's like the third piece of this puzzle.
It is. It is. What do you think?
Maybe it represents structure and logic.
Yeah.
Like the things we need to channel all that creative energy.
You know what? I think you might be onto something there. It's like these two realms, as different as they are, they actually need each other.
To create balance.
To create balance.
That's like the yin and yang of planets.
I love that. The yin and yang of planets. That's perfect.
Okay, so we've got this amazing great tree at the center of Lumin, giving birth to the fairy friends and powering their magic. But Lumin isn't just one big happy forest, right? You mentioned different clans earlier.
Oh, yeah. Lumin is home to 4 distinct fairy friend clans. Each one has its own unique connection to the great tree and plays a special role in keeping everything balanced.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. But before we dive into the clans, tell me more about time in Lumin. You mentioned it's non-linear, which is mind-blowing. What does that even mean?
Well, it means it's not a straight line, right? Past, present, future, all intertwined in Lumin.
Whoa, okay, so it's more fluid, like a swirling river rather than a rigid path.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tied to the OR grid, you know? The flow of energy through those Lily lines affects the flow of time in Lumin.
That's so trippy.
Imagine
Living in a world where yesterday could be tomorrow. It makes you think about how we perceive time, like, is it really as fixed as we think it is?
It's a good question, right? Lumin really makes you question everything you thought you knew about everything.
Okay, so we've got a magical world where time is fluid, powered by a living tree, and inhabited by shape-shifting fairy friends divided into 4 unique clans. This is getting good. Tell me more about these clans. Who are these fairy friends and what are they all about?
So each clan embodies a different aspect of that great tree's energy, We can start with the Daughters of the Mist.
Okay.
They live in Lilac Lake, a place shrouded in mist and mystery.
Ooh, mysterious. I like it. What are they like?
They're deeply connected to the OR grid, almost like they can feel its currents flowing through them.
Okay.
And this connection, it gives them visions of the future.
Oh, so they can see what's going to happen.
Yeah, they get glimpses into the swirling possibilities of time in Lumin.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
It is. But their visions, they're often fragmented and symbolic, like pieces of a puzzle that need to be carefully interpreted.
I can imagine that's got to be tough sometimes.
It is, yeah. They really rely on intuition and deep listening to understand those messages that the OR grid sends them.
I bet that takes a lot of practice. What about the other clans? What kind of powers do they have?
Well, the Fairy Guard, they're all about protection, you see.
Okay.
They live in Selene, a land that's both beautiful and strategically important.
Nice.
And they're known for their intelligence, but also their mastery of water.
Okay.
Using it to create shields and deflect attacks.
So they're like the guardians of Lumin.
Yeah, you could say that.
I can see how water would be useful for defense, like a natural force field.
Exactly. And they're skilled strategists, too, always thinking several steps ahead.
Like the chess players of Lumin?
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Always carefully planning their moves to protect their realm.
Smart and strategic. I like me already. What about the Willow warriors? What makes them unique?
They're the guardians of the great tree itself.
Oh, wow.
They live in Treedom, a heavily guarded forest that surrounds the great tree's roots. Their connection to nature runs deep. They can communicate with plants and animals.
Really?
Yeah, and they use all that knowledge to protect the delicate balance of Lumin's ecosystem.
So they're like the park rangers of Lumin, but with magical powers.
Uh-huh, that's a good way to put it.
I bet they know all the secret trails and hidden waterfalls.
I'm sure they do. And they're fiercely loyal to the great tree, will do anything to protect it.
That makes sense.
They understand that the great tree's well-being is essential to the survival of all fairy friends, you see.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like each clan has its own special role to play in maintaining the balance of Lumin.
Exactly.
What about that last clan, the Mystic Maidens? What do they bring to the table?
They're the masters of water magic.
Okay.
They live in Windwhirl, a rainforest paradise full of waterfalls and hidden lagoons.
Sounds beautiful.
It is, yeah. But their paradise, it isn't always peaceful,
Oh, what do you mean?
They actually face frequent tornadoes that test their adaptability and intuition.
Tornadoes in a rainforest. That's crazy.
It is, but the Mystic Maidens have learned to ride the waves of change, so to speak, using their water magic to navigate those storms and protect their home.
That's impressive.
Yeah, they really embody the flow and flexibility of water, adapting to whatever challenges come their way.
That's a good lesson for all of us, right?
It is. Learning to be more adaptable in our own lives, especially when things feel unpredictable.
Yeah, for sure. Each of these clans, with their unique abilities and perspectives, teaches us something about the power of balance and how different strengths can work together.
Exactly.
To create harmony.
To create harmony, yeah.
It's like they're a living embodiment of the FairyFrens mission, showing us how to integrate emotional intelligence and creativity into our lives, even when things get tough.
And remember, even in this magical realm, there are challenges. Lumin, it's not a utopia,
Right.
It's a world where balance is constantly being tested, especially now with the arrival of someone from Order and John Lennox.
Ah, yes, John. Our physics student who stumbled through a portal into this world of magic. Last time, we left him completely awestruck by the wonders of Luminate. What's he been up to? How is he adjusting to this new reality? Okay, so Lumin's facing some serious challenges, right?
Yeah.
The OR grid is messed up, the clans are having trouble, and Panowyn's out there causing chaos.
That's a tough situation.
But there has to be some hope, right? What's being done to try and restore balance?
Well, Lumin has a secret weapon, you could say.
Ooh,
Queen Fae.
Queen Fae, right. The great tree chose her.
Exactly, which means she's got a deep understanding of Lumin's magic and how everything's connected,
Right, like she's in tune with the very heartbeat of Lumin.
Yeah.
But how could she possibly fix all this chaos?
So Queen Fae understands that it's not just about fixing the OR grid, right? It's about healing those divisions between the FairyFren clans.
Okay.
She knows their strength lies in unity.
So she's trying to bring the clans together. That's a tall order, especially with all that mistrust and rivalry that's been going on for generations.
It is, but Queen Fae, she's a wise and compassionate leader.
Okay.
And she's got an unexpected ally helping her.
Who's that?
John Lennox.
Wait, John. Our physics student from Orderin. How does he fit into all of this?
Remember, he arrived in Lumin looking for something more than just logic?
Right.
He was drawn to the magic and, the emotional depth of this world.
Yeah.
And while he's still trying to wrap his head around magic, reconcile it with his scientific mind, he's starting to see the bigger picture.
So he's not just observing from the sidelines anymore.
No, he's actively involved,
Wow.
helping Queen Fae.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's like a bridge between the two worlds, helping them to understand each other.
Exactly. He sees things that the FairyFrens themselves miss, because he's an outsider, not caught up in their old rivalries and all that.
It's like he's got a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
I love that.
And his knowledge of science, it's actually coming in handy.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's using it to help understand the OR grid.
So it's not about magic versus logic anymore.
Nope.
It's about finding a way for them to coexist.
Exactly.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so John's helping Queen Fae unite the clans and restore balance. But what about Panowyn? She's still out there messing with the OR grid.
Oh, yeah, she is. And her actions are getting more and more destructive,
Okay.
She sees Queen Fae's attempts at unity as a threat to her revenge, so she decides to strike at the heart of Lumin.
Where's that?
The Great Tree.
Attacking the Great Tree. That's like attacking the source of all life in Lumin. How's she even doing that?
Well, she uses her knowledge of the OR grid to manipulate the Gly lines, cutting off the Great Tree's connection to the clans and weakening its defenses.
So she's not just like physically attacking the tree. She's messing with its energy, its very life force.
Yeah.
Lumin must be in real trouble then.
It is. Yeah, without the Great Tree's protection, Lumin is vulnerable.
This is getting intense. Sounds like almost showdown's coming.
Yeah, it does.
What did John and Queen Fae do?
Well, they realize they have to work together to protect the Great Tree and defeat Panowyn, right? So Queen Fae calls upon all the clans to unite, put aside their differences, and defend their home.
And John, does he finally embrace being the bridge between science and magic?
He does. He uses his understanding of physics to analyze what Panowyn's doing to the OR grid, how she's manipulating it.
Okay.
And he finds a way to disrupt her control.
So it's not just about fighting her with magic. It's about outsmarting her.
Yeah, you could say that.
Using her own knowledge against her?
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. And the FairyFrens are fighting too, right?
Oh, yeah, they're fighting alongside John and Queen Fae, defending their home with everything they've got.
Wow, it's a true battle for the soul of Lumin. It's making me think about those times in our own lives when we face really tough challenges, things that seem impossible to overcome.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a good reminder that even when things seem really dark, there's always hope.
There is.
Okay, I have to know, how does it all end? Does Lumin survive? What happens to Panowyn?
I can't give away all the details.
Right.
Of course. But the final battle, it's epic magic and ingenuity everywhere.
I bet.
Let's just say it involves sacrifice, forgiveness, and a deeper understanding of what it really means to be balanced.
Ooh, that's a good cliffhanger. This whole story sounds amazing. Definitely something I'll be thinking about long after this deep dive.
I'm glad to hear that.
I do have one last question, though. What about John? Does he stay in Lumin or go back to Orderin?
That's a question for another deep dive.
Okay, fair enough. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
But, we can all learn something from his journey, right?
Yeah, totally. He showed us that it's okay to question what we think we know.
Right.
To be open to the unknown and to find that balance between logic and imagination.
Well said.
Well, this has been an awesome journey. Thanks for taking us to Lumin and introducing us to the FairyFrens.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
I feel like I've learned so much about imagination, the importance of balance, and the potential for magic in our own lives.
And remember, the story doesn't end here.
That's true.
There's always more to explore, more to learn, and more ways to connect with the magic that surrounds us all,
That's a great note to end on.
I think so.
Thanks again for joining me on this deep dive.
Thank you for having me.